Here's the door of Varane. He wants to come to United. All he sees him in his long-term plans and the club captain's new right-hand man. Woo! Finally play with a high line. If you play man onside by a hairline, then we got Varane with a pace that will run a man down and clamp that ball by the byline. Here's the door of Varane. He wants to come to United. All he sees him in his long-term plans and the club captain's new right-hand man. Finally play with a high line. If you play man onside by a hairline, then we got Varane with a pace that will run a man down and clap that ball by the byline. Clap that ball by the byline. Take that ball, don't waste time. Don't touch on my line. This season is our time. Woo!
Yo, this is the OT99 Banter Room where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. We're back again with another one. It's your boy Firms and I'm here with NK. And today we are going to talk about a hella stuff. So much news to talk about. We've been away for a while, but so much has happened during that time. We're going to talk about the pre-season friendly against Derby and the performances there. We're going to catch up on the transfer news with Raphael Varane, obviously, with Jadon Sancho, that's a done deal, with Kamavinga and all the other related transfer news that we've been linked to, and outgoings as well. And finally, we're going to wrap up with our starting lineup going into the new season. So look, let's get it started. So remember, before we continue, look, I always forget to do this. I always leave it to the end. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe and support the thing. Follow on Instagram, that's OT99_Banter Room. Twitter, at 99Banter. TikTok, at OT99 Banter Room, all one word. Yes, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. So let's get into it. NK, look, let's start off with the pre-season because obviously that's the first time us Manchester United fans have had the opportunity to see our team in action following the international break and the season end of last season. And as expected, we were going to see, the B team, or even less than the B team, the youth, because a lot of the guys, our first teamers, were off on international duty, and then there's just guys still getting their extended rest. So obviously we saw guys get the run out like Shora Toure, Elanga, etc. And Pelestri was an interesting one for many people, as well as other guys and that got mentioned. So I asked you about it because I ain't seen the game, and I saw a couple of highlights of Pelestri, and for me, it looked like his finish was really nicely composed, and people are starting to call him a Messi, like our version of a Messi. And I don't know. I mean, he might have the frame, the stature for it, but I ain't seen enough of him to be able to make any comments and judgment. I mean, all I know is that we've let this guy out on loan. He didn't set the world ablaze in terms of the reports that I've been hearing, even though I didn't watch anything. You just would still hear that he's doing well. And now we're getting comparisons to Messi, but it looked like he did put that ball away nicely. So what was your views on the game anyway? What did you think of the friendly? We're after winning ways. What was your thoughts on it?
Well, I watched the friendly. I actually watched the friendly because it was a decent time here. After a couple of one or two streaming incidents.
We don't condone.
But with the friendly, there was a few things that I was kind of like looking for, and Pelestri, he was not one of them, but I got to say he was one of the brightest things that kind of like came from it. Out of all the guys that we have the youth team, or he's the one player that I've kind of like written him off in terms of like making an impact at United. I feel like he's gonna go on loan, and then eventually we're gonna sell him. But after watching him play, I mean, it is pre-season. I just feel like he was good. He was good. Like he reminds me of a bit like Gomez, and Gomez, where he got very good touch, very composed. You can tell like he's naturally gifted. Yeah, he's just very naturally kind of like gifted. Next season, I will do what he done with like Chong. Yeah, send him on loan in the championship. I will personally send him on loan in the championship so that he can test himself against them. And if he's able to kind of like just do it like that, then the next following season, either he try give him a run or then give him to a Premiership team. But I will consider giving him a team in the Premiership because I feel like he was very, very good. Like there are signs that he reminds me a bit of like Ahmed, but with a bit of kind of like work and stuff. Like he's one guy I feel like in the next like 3-4 years, he'll make a name for himself. How big he's gonna be, I'm not quite sure, but he's definitely gonna play for a very long time. I can guarantee that based on what I saw.
I mean, it's interesting because obviously the wide positions now are kind of stacked. So Pelestri actually needs to be on loan to give himself the best opportunity. And I heard him mention in the interview, you know, that he wants to stay at United. But I personally like to fight for his place. But I personally don't think that's the better option for him now, considering that they just went and spent 73 million on a winger that plays in his position. So I feel like a loan, like you said, will be a better option for him. And for me, like Tahith Chong, you know, he got some minutes under his belt, you know, on loan, albeit was it in the Premier League or Championship, he still was getting that football. And I feel like Pelestri, you know, he got some minutes out with Alaves, but you know, it would do well. It will be good to see these guys in the Championship, so I can get all Premier League, so you can get like a better visual of them and see how they cope and perform under the rigor of English football. But at the same time, it's a balance as well, because I know that a lot of these teams, unless they're very desperate, they're not going to be utilizing your loanee unless he's like a quality guy. So it's a balance between trying to get him a team at that level as well, that highest level, where he's going to get the minutes under his belt that he needs to perform. And you know, Alaves, I think, was a newly promoted Spanish team as well. So I think it sort of like was a good move for him. But look, I'm excited to see, you know, the next friendly, and I'll keep my eye out on sort of their performances. So look, let's move on though. So I was looking into the reports, and I saw something about now let's actually, before I go there, let me not go there first. Let's talk about the big news. So the big news is obviously Raphael Varane. Now Raphael Varane, since we were sort of last online, the breaking news is that the rumor is that he agreed to a 5-year contract from Manchester United. 5-year contract taking him to 2026 is what I wrote down. So I'm assuming that his wages would be upwards of about 250k plus, like anything around that region or above. I won't be surprised if it's closer to 300. Yeah, someone of experience and caliber, I won't be surprised. But I'm saying somewhere between 250 and 300 probably. So we've from the talk is that we've agreed this contract, and we're waiting on a final offer. We're waiting on not a final offer. We're waiting for the price from Real Madrid to tell us what the price is, so we can start sort of analyzing these figures and trying to make an official proposal. So at the minute now, Raphael Varane is on holiday right now, enjoying a bit of sun wherever he is, and family time potentially. And the talk is he doesn't want to come back to the camp. He wants to actually probably come directly to Manchester United, but he doesn't want to disrespect Real Madrid. He still wants Manchester United and Real Madrid to hash it out and agree the terms and conditions for the move, to facilitate the move. But ideally, he would want to come to Old Trafford and begin his trade. So look, I got to ask you a question. So obviously Varane, you know, is looking likely, in my opinion, that he's going to be coming to Manchester United. What is your viewpoint in it? Like, for one, like, what's your percentage of him still coming? And two, do you feel he's the ideal man for Manchester United, or do you feel like there's another centre back that could potentially do a better job? If there was anyone you can get in the world that's available as a centre back to come in and stand and partner Harry Maguire, who would that person be? So let me know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, ideally your best centre back, and to be honest with you, in terms of Harry Maguire, I feel like there will probably be 3 centre back if I have to partner him with anyone.
Yeah.
One of them we sure ain't never, two of them we sure ain't never gonna get. And one being like Van Dijk, who obviously will say he's Premier League proven, but is never gonna get that to come in. Yeah. Second one will be John Stones, because they play together in England and they got that understanding. You already know that partnership can work. And the third one, if you have to look around, then you say, what do you call it? Varane, you know. I think the only problem that Premiership fans is like, because we don't watch a lot like the Spanish league, normally, Real Madrid has been dominating for a very long time. When they won the back-to-back Champions League and everything. But as football fans, we always so much focus on the attack more than the defense.
Yeah.
So while Varane is a superstar and he's won the World Cup and not all of this, people always don't really credit him. Like for them to still be questioning whether he's going to be a good signing for United, just tell you, if United was going to sign Messi or even Ronaldo at his prime, who's even going to question whether Ronaldo is going to be a good signing or Messi is going to be a good signing?
Yeah.
Because straight away they know what they're going to get. Varane is going to be a quality signing. What about you going to say? If he comes there, he is probably going to be the best centre back in our team. Maybe you just don't know how good he's going to make Maguire do. But straight away, if you are a manager and you're picking a team, it's Varane and then Maguire. The only time you don't pick them two is if you want to rest one of them is when one of them is injured. Because clearly Lindelof and Bailly clearly is not there. I feel like he had a lot of his chance and he kind of like, I don't know, he messed it up. But yeah, without a doubt, I don't see no one else Man United game, especially for the quality that he's bringing and the price. You forget about the price too, how cheap this guy's going to be, because it's just like 1 year into his contract, So if United don't get him, then would you go for one of Benoit going to Arsenal, who I didn't want him anyway? Pau Torres too, I don't think he's good enough. I felt like he was good and everything, but as you said, like if he comes there, we know how Ole is. If that great, starting, and he's even going back to the Olympics anyways too. That to be just signal, no, because if you go to Olympics, by the time he comes, he has to go on holiday, and by the time United buy him for him to be there, he's gonna start with Lindelof and Maguire, and it will be very hard for him to get this guy in. It's gonna be like Van der Beek 2.0, and we don't want that too. No, seriously, we don't want that too at all. So yeah, and then after that too, there's a Seville guy too who I've not been impressed with him at all. Like I have not been impressed with him at all. So without Varane, you just look like, hey, you know what? There is no way. Like there's not even a medium. It's like either Varane or straight to like the bottom. And personally, I feel like if United don't get Varane, they're just gonna stick to what they have. They rather stick to what they have than make a gamble in the market and go buy someone else. Maybe wait for next season when he's a free transfer. But hopefully they get across the line. In terms of percentage, last week I was saying 90%, but United, bro, they still even announced Sancho. Bro, this club, I don't know what's wrong with them. I'm hearing paperwork and everything, but I hope they still get speed up too, because Varane, I feel like he's due back at Madrid this week on the 20-something. That's when all of them are due back anyway, on the 20-something. And do I see United getting a bit accepted between now until Friday? Or I don't think so. I don't think so.
So it's interesting. So on the centre back thing, right? So obviously, I feel like this is a situation like it was for Sancho, where this time last year I was thinking, if you don't get Sancho, it's a big drop off in terms of the quality that can do his job out on the right wing. With the centre backs, in terms of who's available, I think it's a big drop off in terms of what he can do. Not as much as the Sancho thing, but his ability, his age, and his experience of winning trophies. It's a massive drop off. We are talking about the likes of guys that is achievable and you can get. Koulibaly. It won't be value for money. Do you know what I mean? And he hasn't got the level of experience and leadership I would say a Varane does.
Yeah.
You've obviously got Van Dijk, who's unattainable anyway. But if money wasn't an option and we were in fantasy land, obviously he's the guy that
he's a Liverpool player.
And he's a Liverpool player. And then you got guys like Bonucci and stuff like that who never leave Italy and those type of veterans. But for me, Varane is one of those guys that and I had he's one of those guys that you don't get linked with when you're Manchester United. You don't dream about having, if it wasn't for this situation that we find ourselves in, him being in his last year of his contract, us being in a COVID market and an environment where teams don't have the funds to be able to purchase these guys. I mean, it's one of these things where I feel it like, if the player's not a priority for your team, so they'll have these discussions, all your board members and all your team saying, who's a priority? If these players are not coming up as a priority for you, maybe top 1, top 2 priority, these guys are not getting a look. And so I'm surprised. Me personally, I'm thinking, why isn't it that nobody else is bidding for Varane. Clearly,
Right.
he's a quality player. But then I sit back and think, you know what? Money's not flying around like that. Manchester United made a humongous purchase for Sancho in this COVID market. It actually, in comparison, breaks our transfer record in comparison, just because we're in a COVID market. Do you know what I mean? If you see what teams are spending, it doesn't quite tally up. So, I mean, I can only put it down to that. But for me, he's a guy that you don't usually get linked to. And for the fact that we can get him for 50 million to 60 million euros, apparently, it's great. So the only thing is, so I'm a bit more optimistic than you. I'll probably say I'm like 80%, no, 95% sure. I would say I think like the 5% reservation is down to the fact that he still has to come back and have this discussion. If somehow they convince him or Real Madrid offer him a crazy amount of money, then maybe that's it. But I just can't see that happening.
Yeah, that's just now. I think they passed the window where they offer him a contract. You know, right now the only problem is if Real Madrid, which I don't see them doing anyway, if they try to kind of like play this kind of like hardball way, they want to get more money, and then United backed out of the deal, and then I don't know. I feel like that's another option too. But with the wages that United are offering him. And this is one thing that I heard too, like, is either he try come this summer or he come to United on a free next summer. You know, I don't think there's any club there that is willing to offer him that kind of like wages that we are offering him too. And I hear the Premiership too. Do I see Chelsea trying to offer that kind of like wages? I really don't think so. I feel like their priorities are somewhere else, to be honest.
See, personally, Manchester United, I can see why we're driving it home so hard, like with this signing, because we cannot risk him leaving on a free. It doesn't matter what promises Varane makes. I personally don't trust it enough that he will still have the man's mindset and mentality to, one, leave Real Madrid next year, and two, Manchester United still be front runners if he was to leave, because him leaving on the free makes a whole lot of a difference in terms of how much a club is willing to give them in wages, because they're automatically seeing it as that we've just saved ourselves 40, 50, 60 million euros. Let's put that money in Varane. But you know what? Because we've got so much to talk about, let's move on from Varane. So I've been staying in Spain. So there's discussions with Saúl Ñíguez. So there's rumors about Saúl Ñíguez. Like Saúl Ñíguez is a guy that's on the market, another guy that seems available. Manchester United has been linked to him for many years, you know, and it's seeming like this year he could potentially, is more than most years, that he could potentially get a move. Now, Saúl Ñíguez is a guy that obviously he likes the Premier League, I'm hearing, but there's no advanced discussions. You know, Fabrizio came out and said there's no advanced discussions with Manchester United, but also, you know, Barcelona is a team that interests Saúl Ñíguez, and also Liverpool is a team that are interested in Saúl Ñíguez. Now, it's interesting. I think so. The Athletic, I can't remember where I saw that or read that, but that's the story I've read somewhere. And it's interesting with the Liverpool link, because I know they lost Gini, but you look at Saúl Ñíguez, and for me, he's a guy that starts and goes straight into your 11, and it's a bit difficult to see how that fits in. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into Liverpool. Anyway, that's just an observation I made. But what's your thoughts on Saúl Ñíguez? Because it seems that Manchester United is being linked with a number of midfielders now. What's your thoughts on that move?
I just think it's just rumors. I don't really see nothing inside it. Honestly, the chance of United signing a midfielder for me is like 30%.
Yeah,
literally 30%. I see the Sancho deal getting done. I told you Sancho and Varane deal. I see both of them getting done. Trippier, I feel like that deal is gonna get done, but it's gonna drag on all the way to like August. These are the three key signings that I see us making. Now, if we're gonna have a midfielder coming, it's gonna be one of those ones where we sign like an unknown midfielder, you know, whether it's a young guy that's coming through, that's where Camavinga kind of like fitting, and this is like deep into August when the season have started already.
Yeah.
Or we get a veteran who is literally about to finish and then they come in like either on loan or like they are on a free transfer. United always like to do this kind of like damn transfer like all the time.
Yeah.
For us to see, if you're gonna tell me right now, if United are gonna pay like 40 million for midfield coming in, I don't see it. I really don't see it. So me personally, I feel like any midfield that we get linked to, just literally forget, because we are gonna end up getting a defensive midfielder that nobody knows of. Is like an unknown, or if we know him, it's just one of those ones that literally is an old one, a bit like see how Matic or something like that. So where they just bring him up for cover up because they're gonna lose one of their midfielders. But I don't see none of these guys. I don't see nothing into it personally.
So I kind of agree with you partly there. I would say that the likelihood of us getting a midfielder is probably 50-50, probably less than 50-50, because Mr. Here We Go himself, like obviously he's close to these deals. He said, and he said it a number of times, he said, Manchester United getting a midfielder will be heavily dependent on what happens to Pogba and Donny van de Beek. Right. Obviously with Donny van de Beek, he didn't get much game time, last season. Every time he did come on the pitch, he gave a good account of himself, or most of the time anyway, he gave a good account of himself. And obviously there's Pogba as well. So we haven't even, with Donny, so we haven't even seen whether he's a good talent or not. We just don't know. From what we've seen, he's got the quality, but we just haven't seen enough he hasn't been given an opportunity, put it like that.
Right.
To showcase his talents and his abilities and his impact on the squad. And obviously with Pogba, there was that whole talk of Riola. I remember him quoting saying he's 100% going to leave Manchester United, Paul Pogba. But then obviously they couldn't even have expected this COVID market to happen. And now they could be in a place where there's tail between their legs and they're eating their own words. But the power's still in Pogba's hands. But with this whole, I say that to say this, so obviously Pogba looks like he's leaning more towards staying at Manchester United. And obviously with Donny van de Beek, I don't know if he's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's signing, but Manchester United is going to require a fee for Donny van de Beek in order for us to sell him. Now, if it's Real Madrid or any one of these teams linked in with Donny van de Beek or whatever, they're going to have to cough up money. And they need to, and it just doesn't seem that is Donny van de Beek another team's priority? Is he? You know what I mean? And if he's a priority and he moves on, then I can see us getting a midfielder, and I can see us getting the likes of a Sal Niguez or Camavinga if any of those fall through. But I just can't see it, because what I can see more likely is Pogba signing a new contract, a new long-term contract on bumped wages, and Donny van de Beek staying, and him, and we're just progressing in the new season. What will be is a 4-3-3 with probably, again, with Donny trying to get rotated, and it's just the same old thing.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, with the midfield situation, as I said to you, I don't see like no one new coming, especially if they don't sell anybody or let anybody go. And Van der Beek is one person where if he goes, the likelihood is it will be a loan with an option to buy. I don't see no one buying, because United are going to try get the same 40 million we paid for, and they're not going to try get that. So what they will do is they will try send him along with the option to buy. Now, if either one of him and Matic goes, Ole will feel like he need cover there. So with cover, you don't spend 40 million on cover. That's why I feel like that's why he has never made that midfield be a priority, because he can deal with other areas. It's a bit like how this deal will be like, how we got Cavani at the end of like deadline day, Gallo too, same thing too. Because even though we had the strikers, we knew we needed cover up. Yeah, I feel like that situation might be the same too with the midfielder too. I don't see how Matic stay. I really don't see how Matic stay. I'm really surprised we haven't even hit. In terms of like the outgoing, we don't really hear a lot of rumors at all, We don't hear a lot of rumors too at all in terms of like the outgoing. And I know they eventually they're gonna go, because once the season starts, a lot of this man ain't gonna see jersey. Like they're not even gonna get squad numbers. Like so they're just gonna either go. But my only problem is, just try to get some money off them. Stop doing this loan deal. Just stop doing this loan deal. Like, get some money off them. If we can even raise like 40, 50 million for selling like 3 players, that could be the difference in terms of like getting a good defensive midfielder, which I feel like they're gonna end up trying to do anyways, you know.
And I'm gonna get onto the outgoings for sure. I'm gonna get onto it. Yeah, I mean, you know, a DM ideally would be the guy, right? Sancho, Varane, maybe Kieran Trippier, but it just doesn't seem like our focus is. I see. Obviously, our main attention is Varane. He's our priority. Once we get that over the line, we'll probably ride out the Trippier situation maybe to the end of the season. And I think the midfielder situation, we're probably going to long it out to the end of the season. We'll see who comes in for Donny. We'll see what the Pogba situation is because Pogba's in no rush. Do you know what I mean? I think I've read these scouring the market, trying to understand what available offers there are. It doesn't seem like there's much clearly because of no one can afford to pay him that money and pay a transfer fee as well. So it's more looking like he's going to stay. So I feel like a lot of our business in terms of the additional players coming into the squad outside of Varane is going to be left probably to the latter end of the transfer window. So let's move on though to Camavinga though. So the Athletic reported that you know that Camavinga, Manchester United, like I was saying earlier, are probably going to wait to the latter stages of the transfer window to test the resolve of Rennes and see if they can get the deal at a cheaper price. Now, that worries me personally because you know, when you're seeing prices of 25 million euros, 30 million euros, whatever it costs to get someone that's got a very high ceiling like Camavinga, maybe not ready now, but we know that he's got the quality. It's worrying that this guy could potentially just, Man United is not really taking it seriously enough, but then, you know, what is our fund saying that how much money we, like you said, we've got to sell in order to be buying. We ain't gonna be pumping out money like hook, line, and sinker, you know, to be bringing in players without selling any guys. So, what's your thoughts on though Camavinga? Though, if you had an option to choose in terms of a DM, and I don't feel like none of them are out and out DMs, Sarneguez and Camavinga, they're probably more box to box type guys. But if you had to choose out of those two, then who would it be? Actually, who is your preferred midfielder anyway? Like, who is it at the moment? Like the DM.
See, to be honest with you, in terms of like the midfielder, I don't know what approach Ole is trying to go for. I don't know what formation. I don't know if is he buying a DM just so that he can play Pogba and Bruno in the middle together, or is he getting someone to kind of like play alongside what do you call it? Alongside Pogba, or like in that kind of like same formation that we play. I don't know what kind of, because as I said to you, with DM, there's different type of DM in this game, you know. There is like your Declan Rice one where they just kind of like, they know mobile enough, but they just sit a bit like hard junior, kind of like that. How they just kind of match kind of like once, you know, they kind of like say, normally drop into to make it like a back three when you attack it so that your fullback can bomb forward. And when there's a counter attack, them three literally can just deal with the danger because they don't commit too much forward. You know, there's that kind of like type. There is your Kante, like Ndidi type, where they are more like energetic, where they just run the show, you know. They're more like a box to box, but not necessarily like a box to ball. They just bring energy there. A bit like what Fred does, but more good on the ball type.
Yeah.
And then you go your Pelo and your Juninho type, where this man, you will never associate them with like the guys that can win balls, but they're very good in terms of like position for interception, and they are very great at dictating the ball. If you're a possession-based team and you want to dominate possession, they are your kind of like guys where they get a ball and they start spreading the passes. Now, I will rule someone like that, like Juninho, off because realistically, I feel like we're trying to make Pogba the guy who control the midfield and start the attack. That's what we're trying to do, because if you get someone like Juninho inside it, then it kind of like take a lot of what Pogba want to do, because if you saw the Euros, he was the guy that was starting all the attacking moves from them. So you kind of like rule that kind of like bit off, and then you go like you'll be like Declan Rice type of like player. Now, Pogba has one of the best time under Ole where we were very good. We went on a run. That was when Pogba came back from the injury at one lockdown, and that midfield was Matic and Pogba with Bruno up top. And, you know, we won so much games. You know, I think we won it all the way to that. We got the Champions League place, which was impossible at the time. And Pogba was playing next to someone like a Matic. Obviously, in France, too, he played next to someone like a Kante. So to me, I'm kind of like, if United want to go for someone, to me, it will be either Ndidi or Declan Rice, personally. And I feel like both of them will work with Pogba there anyways. I feel like both of them will work anyway. But I don't know, some bit about me favors more of what they call it, Declan Rice, because of the kind of like the way our dressing room look like, you know. I mean, he's already on holiday with Luke Shaw. He's very good mates too with Harry Maguire too. So if you bring him in terms of like communication-wise, you bring him there, and then you go that kind of like English kind of like call people there. It just straight away, it works easily with those kind of like guys having those kind of like communication. Bro, if you play FIFA, Ultimate Team, you just link him there and them like go green, bro, you know. Indeed, he's gonna do a good job, but with him being like obviously Nigerian, this one thing about this is in that people having realized, and a lot of people like, you know what, it's a conversation we're gonna have inside, or what impact it's gonna have on the Premiership, is the African nations. The African Nation Cup, which is gonna come in January, is gonna have such a big impact. So if indeed it comes, you know, he have a big impact, and then you have to lose him for like 2 months for him to go. Yes, you will have a cover and everything, but I feel like that's one of the advantages we're gonna have on your teams like Liverpool, because they got so much African players, and they're gonna lose that. Leicester are gonna lose Ndidi too, so that will be our time to kind of like shine. But I don't know, it's just between them two. But personally, I would go for Declan Rice.
No, I hear what you're saying for your rationale, but so me personally, like I liked your breakdown of the DM type things, and I think that is true. You've got those different types of DMs, and they equally could work well depending on the style of play the style of football that you play, the tactics that you go with. And I just feel like with Manchester United in our situation, that we do need someone that is going to be very disciplined and sit, but can also, I think the noise that we've been hearing for our team and our fans and everything is we want someone that can just do a bit more than running around. We need someone that's good on the ball, that can hit a pass. And for me, as well as tackle. And for me, obviously Declan can do that better than what we've got. Ndidi can do the tackling and everything like that better than what we've got, and potentially passing maybe. And it's a tough one. And then obviously you got the Calvin Phillips. It's a lot of people now got on a wave on because of the whole Euros and stuff. But for me, I've always seen it as having Ndidi, because Ndidi is the destroyer. Ndidi is the closest thing in terms of a Kante to me that you could potentially get. It will be astronomical figures that you'll have to pay to get someone like Wilfred Ndidi, especially this season. So I'm not being unrealistic to say, do you know what, after us getting Varane, getting Sancho, potentially getting, you know, whoever, that we're going to have to now go and spend 80 plus 70, whatever the money is going to be to get Ndidi, because it's not going to happen. But I do feel like, you know, if we don't get a DM this season, like if it's not Camavinga, or if it's not Osama Gez, we should hold out and be patient. Be patient. Get your Trippier if you can get your Trippier, your centre back and your right wing, and you press on. And then when you're talking about next season, then you can potentially, hopefully, do 2 big signings and get yourself a top DM like Wilfred Ndidi, and then get a striker as well, because we may potentially need one. Although we've got Greenwood, you know, but we have to say about that. But for me, yeah, I don't want us getting guys just for the sake of getting guys. Now, I'm not saying that Camavinga's not quality, because I think he is. And, you know, I would love to have him at my club. And Salmiguez, I think they're both quality. But when you break it down, is Camavinga like... There's a lot of comparison between Camavinga and Pogba. Yeah. Camavinga can tackle better, but how is his... I don't watch a lot of him, obviously, I'll say the truth, but how is his discipline, his positioning and stuff like that? If he can do the job, he's young enough to be coached to do it. If he can do that, be disciplined, shield the defense, you know, and do your... If he can be a combination between a Kante and your Jorginho type, because he can pass, then he would be the ideal guy. But I don't know if he'll be ready.
Yeah. I think Camavinga is a guy, like when you buy, you give him like 3 seasons to kind of like replace Pogba, you know, so him kind of like easing kind of like through.
Yeah.
Like with him coming too, I think that one is a strange one. People talk about, oh, United are going to wait to the end of the transfer window. I don't think that's it. I don't really think that's it. I feel United have gone to speak to his agent, you know, And I think the conversation has been like, is he gonna see game time? Because that is very, very important for him. And I don't feel like United might probably say yes. And I think whatever United are trying to sell to him, he's not buying it. In terms of like, if he comes, he's gonna get that game. I don't think he's buying it too. And then there's PSG too, where he's definitely gonna guarantee the game time there too, because their midfield too is a lot too. So I think he's kind of like stuck to kind of like choosing between where he will go to get that kind of like game time that he is. I won't be surprised if he end up going to none of this big soul club. Like he's gonna go to a club that probably play in the Champions League, but not necessarily none of this club that he's been linked to, and just wait until maybe another 3 years to get a big move. Because playing is very key for this players' development too. And guys like Sancho and Bellingham have shown these guys the way that, look, you go to this kind of like clubs and you get game time, you're going to still end up getting your big move anyway. You don't rush and go to, because nowadays, if you watch, a lot of young players have gone to big clubs too early and they have messed up their careers too. So some players just look at that. Unless someone, I don't know, but I just feel like it's game time. That's what's holding that deal. It's not a money thing at all.
Yeah. It's a catch-22, isn't it? Because if you wait till these guys get big, like Jude Bellingham, you know that he's going to cost a fortune to get him now. I feel like the reason why I'm a bit skeptical about guys like Camavinga in particular is because he's very young and he's raw. He's never played in the Premier League. And under management like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is he going to start this guy and give him the game time that he needs? You know what I mean? And that's the worry, is because, you know, he may not live up to the full potential that we know he could be, because he's not getting the game time. You need to play to be able to develop. So like you said, I mean, with Camavinga, I mean, I'd love to have him at my team. I'm not saying that we need to get rid of Oli first, but we kind of need to have a manager that believes in the guy if we're bringing him to the club to be giving him the game time. Because what do you call it? You got Donny van der Beek that's still waiting in the wings. You've got McFred that's there. That is obviously the tried and trusted two combination. So for me, it's a bit of a mess. But let's move on though. So outgoings. Now you touched on the outgoings, so I'm going to bring this up. So I read today actually, and I think I read this at the Telegraph, that Dan James, Manchester United, has been sort of requesting big funds for Dan James. So, you know, the figure that's being tooted around is about 25 million. But the problem is that Burnley are unable to finance that deal. So Burnley's one of the interested teams. That figure scared them away. And there's the thing about, you know, with Dan James. For one, I feel like we got Dan James for what, like, is it 15 to 18 million or something along those lines?
Yeah.
And I feel like Dan James, you know, he's got a lot of experience. He's played at a higher level now. He's played in international, like European football tournaments. I feel like Man United can be justified to be saying 25 million. It's not over extortionate in my eyes personally, but with teams like Burnley, etc., they're saying it's too much. And just the same thing with Lingard as well. They're saying it's too much to be asking for 30 million. I mean, I just don't get it. What's your thoughts on Dan James? I mean, is he a guy that you would like to see go? Do you think that 25 million is a good value for money? What's your thoughts?
Well, see, the thing about Dan James is when he's in the team, he's only good in the team, like tactically, for about 4 or 5 games. And that's when we play the big teams, you know, like your City. Dan James is always going to turn up on City because somehow he fits best in terms of like the strategy, you know. Liverpool, for some reason, anytime we play him, it just doesn't work. Maybe he'll probably work against, I don't know, what other big teams that even there is in Premiership, but he will normally work against like maybe Champions League, some kind of a team to that, you know, tactically, you know, he's going to give you that kind of like balance on the right-hand side. Yeah. But apart from those kind of 5 games, he just becomes useless tactical point of view because we defend so deep, you know. 25 million, is it too much? I think so. Maybe it might be fair. But, you know, when this club know that you're trying to get rid of a player, trying to get more than what you pay for is just like impossible. If United are going to do a loan to buy, he is one person I will do a loan to buy. Because he's one guy, when he goes, there's no way that he's coming back to like command a place. There's some place you just know that once they go, it is the end of them, you know. Yeah. He is one of them. He is one person I will give a loan with an option to buy. He goes to Burnley, let him just go there, let him just go play there. the season out, but then just make sure that if he make a certain amount of appearance, then they are obliged to actually like buy him, you know. And after that, maybe next season they're gonna fuck time and just give you like the 50 million that you paid back for, or I don't know, something. If we get your money back, to be honest with you, he kind of like helped us the time that we needed, because when he came in, we needed something on the right wing. He kind of like came there, like say what you want to say about him, but he stabilized us a bit there. He just done the job there, and take him along, get a 50 million, let him pay some of his wages or whatever it is that you're gonna do, and then come next season, get the transfer money for him. I would do that, along with an option to buy personally, if they don't want to lose the money that they pay for. That would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think the loan will be ideal, and loaning him to the right club would be important, because I feel like Dan James, like Lingard, is one of those guys that when they were at Manchester United, they weren't really thriving. I feel like Dan James has got his experience now at Manchester United, got comfortable with playing in a big team. And I feel like if he was to go to a team like Burnley or Leeds or anything like that, that he would have a successful loan. Because, you know, they don't play like we play. Do you understand? They don't like Burnley and stuff like that. Teams will be attacking Burnley.
So he will get space to run in.
Will get space to run in, you know. Burnley's a team that loves to defend as well. It's a team that's pressing them. Do you understand? So it's just like, again, with teams like Leeds and stuff, they're a very attacking team. And teams, because they're so attacking, there's a lot of counter-attacking going both ways. Again, Dan James has an opportunity to be able to, you know, Calvin Phillips slip a ball in through the lines. Dan James runs onto it. The good thing about that loan is that if Dan James has a successful loan, which I believe he can have a better, like he can do well.
I think he will. Yeah, he will.
Then it can reassure the price that we want. Do you know what I mean? Like with Lingard's price is at the highest it's ever going to be for Manchester United, because the minute he comes back to Manchester United, that's straight bench again. You might get the odd appearance in a European league or a European game or FA Cup game or Carabao Cup or whatever it's called, but he's never going to start. So right now it's his highest price tag, and I feel like Dan James, we can utilize that as well, that loan deal, to maximize the amount of money that.
How much they want for Lingard again? How much they want for Lingard?
So Lingard, they're saying, you know, about 30 million is the price, but obviously West Ham is saying it's a bit too much. They feel like they're being priced out of the move. But for me,
they did want to talk after Declan Rice.
Tell me about it. For me, with Lingard, I mean, I don't feel like 30 million is crazy money. I really don't. You see guys like Ben Chilwell, or whatever he's not Ben Chilwell, sorry, what's that guy's name that went to Arsenal for 50 million?
Ben White.
Ben White going for 50 million with, like, you know, minimal experience at that level. You know, you've got Lingard that's got ample amount of experience at the top flight level. You've seen what he can do at West Ham in just half a season, and it was literally knocking on the door of sort of the Euros team, like the England team, you know. And I even thought he had his opportunity, you know, once Trent got injured, but unfortunately, you know, he missed out. But for me, you ain't gonna. I don't think 30 million is uncalled for. 25 million to 30 million is fair. And I feel like West Ham is probably playing the long game as well. I think they're going to wait it out and see what happens towards the latter end, because they know that not many teams are interested. He wants to stay at West Ham. That's the key thing. Or Manchester United. So West Ham's not really got the worry about having to challenge anyone. So I think they're a bit relaxed themselves.
Yeah, I don't, you know what you said, I don't think West Ham is really relaxed about it, because, look, here's the thing. They need Lingard. Yeah. They needed Lingard. I feel like if West Ham don't get Lingard, they will end up having, like, they will not have the same season that they had. Even with Lingard, they're still not going to have the same season that they had. Yeah. But with Lingard, they kind of like probably guarantee to make their top 10. In terms of like attack, Antonio is the only guy that they kind of like have, and Antonio get injured quite a lot. Antonio get injured quite a lot too.
Loads, yeah.
Yeah, with Lingard, I think his contract is one. He got 1 year left to run on his contract. And you know, when you know a club want to get rid of a player, straight away you kind of like just going for like a low ball. Now the question is, if West Ham don't take him, who else in the Premiership will just Lingard fancy going to? And my question is, there's a lot of club, you know. on paper, you could say that he can go to Tottenham.
Do you know he literally said it's either West Ham or United. He legit said that.
Yeah, but then when he said that, and then if he can say that all he wants, but the question is, if West Ham don't pay the money that they want to pay, and you know what, this West Ham and United is going to be a battle that I don't think we have seen enough, especially if United are going to be interested in like Declan Rice, like they say there is to be rumors in too, because if we play hardball with them, they're going to play hardball with Declan Rice. And I feel like this is when it's starting anyways, because originally Moyes was coming up before we got Lindegaard on loan. He was coming up running his mouth, talking about how Declan Rice is worth like 100 and something million or so. And then straight away you come to Lindegaard coming to your team and literally drag your team all the way to almost get the Champions League, which would have been big money for them. Let's face it, man. Strikers go for big money. You know, they get Lindegaard, they're probably going to be safe. So 30 million to them is good. They bought that striker from Germany, I forgot his name is, Hedler or whatever his name is, for some ridiculous money. And he failed miserably. He failed miserably. They get Lindegaard for 30 million, sign him onto a 5-year contract. Bro, that's money. He played good for 2 seasons. They can even sell him for another 50 to 60 million to like your teams like Arsenal or something, you know, because he's still not done yet.
He's young. He's in his prime. Like he's about what, 28?
28 now. Yeah, 28 now. You can still sell him in 2 years' time, you know, and get literally 40, 50 million back.
And the thing is, I do feel like I don't know where I can't remember where West Ham even finished. Did they even get European football? But I do feel like
they got Europa. They got Europa. I think they finished 6th.
And West Ham. I mean, Lingard would have been obviously was a massive part to them achieving and securing European football, and even that alone, do you know what I mean? Depending on how far, you know, they would have got money for qualifying for European football, Europa League, but also you can make more money as well by getting to the latter stages of Europa League. So Lingard's gonna have. I'll be very amazed if West Ham and Manchester United don't agree a deal, because for Lingard's perspective as well, if he has any hope of getting into that England squad, especially with the attacking threat that they have in these type of positions, he needs to be playing that week in, week out. And I just can't see if that happening.
Yeah, I saw the interview that Oli done after the game, like, oh yeah, Linda guys come and everything. He's a player we're trying to keep and stuff like that. Personally, I feel like he just bullshit. He just have to say that just so that clubs can know that we're keeping him, stuff like that. I you know, first of all, nothing United do surprises me, because Mata's thing was even ridiculous itself too. Now, with the attack that we got currently on paper, you know, we're even struggling to find out where Greenwood is going to play, whether he's going to play as a striker or on the wings. Now, if you bring Lindegaard in, where do you play him? You're going to say, oh yeah, same thing with Van der Beek, where he's going to be a cover for the number 10 role, because he don't get a chance on the wings. I'm sorry, but he don't get it, because why now? You even look like Martial playing on the wings. So you got Martial playing on the wings, Rashford playing on the wings, and you got Sancho playing on the wings too, Greenwood playing on the wings too. There's Ahmed's situation that we haven't sorted out. You got Mata too, who also play on the wings too. And if you're gonna add Lindegaard to it too, bro, that's just too much players. And there is no way he can see this lineup and feel like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get game time week in, week out. I'm going to be on the bench and be coming on as a sub, because he's not going to get that.
He's not going to,
you know, he's not going to get that. And if United, Lindegaard too is another guy too. There was a reason why Oli never used him. If you are losing 1-0, you can bring Lindegaard on, because you saw at West Ham, when teams give them space to play, that's where he was the most dangerous guy.
And he's in his position. Counter. And he's in his position, you know, where Bruno's
right. Playing. They were playing him more like a false 9. What do you call it? West Ham. And because they were so good, look, anytime Lingard has played good for us, has been on the counter attack. When you play teams like City before, he used to be like our Daniel James for the big games, you know, because he used to do that kind of like good. But when the teams kind of like do that kind of like low block, bro, you do nothing. If you are losing 1-0 or drawing 1-1 and you want to win the game, you're not bringing Lingard on, because he's not going to give you that pass through the needle to find your Cavani, or he's not going to give that body of of a cross. He's just not going to do that. And I'm sorry, like, United need to just try get some. I would be amazed even if he signed a new contract like Bayer did. Right? It was one guy he should have been shipped off, but then they gave him a new contract. Phil Jones should have been shipped or given a new contract. Then we're gonna see Lindegaard get a new contract and just like literally just sit on the bench. I think that would be ridiculous, man.
Look, talking about getting into the squad, it leads us to our final point, and this is going to be a quick answer for you. You're just going to name your starting lineup, assuming we got Varane, because the noise is looking so certified. Assuming we got Varane, let's stick with the midfield that we currently got right now, and obviously Sancho's in the team. Who is your starting 11? Just your starting 11.
My starting 11, I will go for left back, best left back in the world, Luke Shaw. Goalkeeper situation very tricky for me because I don't even know who need to go. But you have to go 3 best goalkeepers, to be honest, because Tom Heaton, he had a good game yesterday too. Really had a good game yesterday too. Can probably be a number one. Number one. Number one. Nobody will even recognize that it's not even De Gea or Henderson. But I feel like I'm going to go with De Gea. I really will go with De Gea as my day. So left back, Luke Shaw. Obviously, Maguire, centre back, Varane too there too. I almost like I'll give him the right back, but if we get Trippier, I will shift him and put Trippier in there because, bro, we're going to talk about him too. There's this kind of a mistake that he normally do. He failed to do the cross yesterday against that between. That's the same thing too, where he never looked behind him when the cross come in and people run from behind him and try to get a header in. He needs to fix that. But I will go, if Trippier coming, I'll go for Trippier more than him because I feel like with Varane, Maguire there too, you don't really need that kind of like a defensive fullback. But then he still got time to claim his position back anyway. He will need gain in and out of the team just so that he can work more too. So I'll probably go for Trippier if we don't get him, but if not, we stick with him. Now, before I do the DM, I'm going to go to attack, but the DM is just like the most hectic one. So I'm torn between Cavani or Martial. Personally, I will start the season off with Martial as my number 9. I will really do, just based on the fact that Cavani is old. I feel we will need him more towards like the middle and under the season because that's when you don't want to bend him out too quick. Personally, I don't think you want to bend him out too quick. I feel like you will need him more, just like, you know how he came into the season around like the January, kind of like around like November, December, January, kind of like February time. I feel like that's the best time that we will need him more. So I will start with Martial as my number 9, Sancho on the right wing, and then Rashford on the left-hand side with Bruno number 10. Personally, that's how I will start. And then as the season goes well, if Martial is not hitting it up and running, then you can just bring Cavani inside too. Obviously, you got Greenwood in there too, but I will start with Martial as my number 9 with Bruno there too. And I feel like Martial to like to play that kind of like interchange football too, and he will work really well with Sancho too. Really well too. Now, the DMB is where it gets very, very tricky. Obviously, you cannot leave Paul Pogba out. You cannot leave the Paul Pogba out. And if the question is, who play next to Pogba? Who play next to Pogba? And I'm choosing this guy solely based on the fact that we got Varane now. So I feel like he will be the guy to play in there. And that, to me, is I will choose Fred to play next to Pogba. Now, I'm only choosing Fred because, like, in terms of, like, energy, he got that kind of, like, energy like the Kante one. And this is when I feel like Ole can just do that tactical thing and tell when the centre-back got the ball, tell Fred, I don't want you to be the guy to drop and collect the ball. I want Pogba to be the guy to drop and collect the ball and pass it from the back. Because say what you want to say about Fred, he's very good at closing players down. McTominay don't really kind of like do that in terms of like tackling and stuff like that. He said a few times where he kick. Fred is very good at kind of like closing down people, running up and down. And even when we are on a counter attack, too, he's very good at passing and starting the move. The only problem that we associate with Fred is that he just doesn't know how to collect the ball from the back and start it because he loses the ball quite a lot. Once you take that kind of a thing, just tell Pogba, I want you to be that free roll where you drop in there, collect the ball, don't get into the penalty box too much, just be in between the defense and the center where you are kind of like dictating the pass, a bit like what he does for France. So for that, Pogba and Fred in there.
Okay, I mean some different picks that I would have gone with, but I understand your logic and your rationale.
Yep.
But for me, obviously, the goalkeeper situation, it's an easy one for me. I feel like the media hyped it up. I feel like, the only reason why, not to say that Henderson is not a great keeper, but I just feel like the media stressed it because, he's a potential England number one. And I do feel like we had a goalkeeper in Sergio Romero. That was quality. You didn't even really get the same type of energy. So for
Right.
me, anyway, David De Gea starts. I know, you know what you're getting with him. He's world class. And for me, he saved us many a times for Manchester United. So for me, it makes sense that he's in between the sticks of the goal. Left back, Luke Shaw, obviously, that's not a question. Maguire, again, it's not a question. Partnering left next to him. In the right side, Varane, do I need to say more? Right back, it would be Wan-Bissaka. Now, I would choose.
Even if we get Trippier?
If we get Trippier, I would probably still go with Aaron Wan-Bissaka because Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he is the best at one-on-one defending that I've ever seen. I've ever seen in a fullback. It's just amazing. And I feel like, again, with him, he just provides so much assurances to me when anyone is running down his side. I mean, obviously, he's had times and moments where he's kind of fell off and, his concentration and stuff like performances has dipped. And on it, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is amazing. And it was showing signs of improvement going forward as well. Now, for me, I feel like Manchester United really wanted a lot with attack from Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Why? Because up top, we didn't really have... in the team, it just wasn't creating enough, especially against the low block teams. Now you've got Sancho in the squad and you're playing Donny van der Beek. You're playing Pogba with Bruno. I'm giving away my lineup already. Then you're having a lot more creativity in the team consistently, playing week in, week out with each other, which takes a bit of the pressure off Wan-Bissaka needed to bomb forward. He's still going to have to do it, but it's taking a bit of the pressure. That of him needing to be that provider from the wings, and you've got guys like Sandro and stuff that can do that. So for that reason, I'm gonna stick with that. Saying that though, Trippier is very balanced. He can defend and he can attack, so he's a really good one. But I just feel like Aaron Wan-Bissaka's defensive ability is just second to none. And then obviously in the midfield, I'm gonna go straight into it and say, we're keeping Pogba. We're gonna give him a big contract. He's one of the best in the world once he's on his A game and you play a team that suits him. So for me, Pogba's got to be in there. Next to Pogba, I would say. This is mad because if you're telling me between Scott McTominay and Fred, I like the fact that Fred, Scott McTominay, his numbers to me, for someone that plays in his position, is crazy. Do you know what I mean? He was doing a lot of running around for Manchester United, a lot of defensive duty as well as getting forward. He was a box-to-box guy, but he got 7 goals in all competitions. Now, you look around in the Premier League, you look around in all leagues, try to find a DM type person or even a box to box that's got 7 Premier League goals, and I'll be very surprised. You know what I mean? So for that reason, I like Scott McTominay, and I think he's got a lot more potential to grow and learn. He's still very young, but Fred, like you mentioned, has got the energy to get around the pitch and cover every blade of grass, and he's got a bit more bite in his tackle. And for the simple fact that I'm going to be choosing Bruno Fernandes and Pogba to be playing in front of them as part of a 4-3-3, you need someone that is slightly more defensive minded than your Scott McTominay, someone that can get stuck in your screen rate, get stuck in a tackle, and try and win the ball back. But I have my reservations with Fred as well. I see him doing a lot of chasing and not sort of controlling, not a lot of that. And I think his positioning as well needs a lot of work. He's understanding of the game and where he positions himself, and a lot of that needs to do. Yeah, he can run, but you don't need to be exerting all of that energy all the time. Play smart, not play hard, or whatever you want to call it. So, but then left wing Rashford, that goes without saying for me. Up top, providing Rashford's fit, but Rashford, and up top Cavani. That goes without saying for me again, because what we saw last season proved to us that he's one of the best strikers in the Premier League, and he's probably still top 10 striker in, probably even less than that, maybe top 8, top 7 in the world, even right now at his age, I would say, Yeah. I think your sound's gone, but I would say that. And then on the right, Jadon Sancho, clearly. You just splashed the bag on Jadon Sancho. There's no better one of his age, his ability on that right-hand side than Jadon Sancho. So for me, he's got to be starting every game. So that's the lineup, man. That's the lineup going in. And to be fair, outside of the midfield position, like the DM, the defensive minded guy, I don't see us changing that much. I feel that could be the formation because Rashford's not going anywhere. He's playing left wing, let's be honest. Cavani, I see him starting unless he's not fit. And then Sancho clearly. And then right back,
Yeah.
Trippier could work his way in.
I've got question for your team. So you say McTominay, you're going to play him as, you could say your formation will be a 4-3-3. So you want McTominay to sit.
No, I know that McTominay can't do it as consistently potentially as Fred. Both of them have got their flaws in my eyes. Like for me, Scott McTominay is a box to box, right? You've got Pogba doing that role anyway. You've got Bruno who's creative enough, getting goals anyway. So I don't really need. It's a great if you can get goals from Scott McTominay like that, and he's great at defending and doing all of that DM stuff. But I don't need him there. Fred, again, he's probably the guy that is more energetic, more aggressive, but he's got his frailties in him. He holds on to the ball for too long. He loses it. His passing ability is not that great as well. Scott's not.
McTominay one is rubbish compared to that one.
I was going to say it as well. So both of them is not that great. But his positioning as well. Both of them, again, it's just not too much of a difference. The only thing I can go by Fred is just saying that he's a lot more aggressive. They both cover blades of grass. He's a lot more aggressive, and that's about it. To be fair, I do feel like we need a DM.
To be honest with you, since both of them been at the club, I would tell that there has been a time where Fred has been more consistent than McTominay has.
That's true.
Yes, McTominay get your goals and stuff like that, but you argue that Wan-Bissaka, you choose Wan-Bissaka because you feel like we're going to have so much attacking talent that we don't need the goals. So if that's the case too, McTominay goals don't count in this kind of a scenario. Because we got the guys to kind of like just do that. Maybe occasionally you're going to need them to chip in 1 or 2 goals and stuff. But if the whole point is just to I don't know, in terms of like breaking up play, running up and down, McTominay, of course, I've seen McTominay one time where the goal will just be there and it's like he doesn't even have the speed to even close these people down, man. Like, I don't know, but
it could be down to tactics. But you raised the point in terms of with Fred that triggered the effort. Fred is a guy that Manchester United was calling, potentially our player of the season. It's not last year, but the year before. He was a guy that, he was clearly doing a job alongside Scott McTominay, and even probably alongside Pogba at some point.
Pogba too, because remember, we went to Stamford Bridge and he literally had a Kante in his pocket. He needs to. I feel like the thing about Fred is with Pogba. Because what Oli tried to do is he tried to play both DM guy, whether it's whether it's McTominay and Fred or Pogba, whoever, he tried to play both of them as a box to box. That need to stop. There has to be a clear communication to one of them to tell, sit deep. And Pogba too, you don't necessarily have to tell Pogba to sit deep, but you tell Pogba, look, when we have the ball and we are playing from the back, I want you to be the guy that drop deep. That free roll, come collect the ball. Don't let that thing be Fred or McTominay, because these guys cannot pass anyways, So don't let them be the guy to just do that. You drop deep, collect the ball. You know how like Declan Rice kind of drop deep, but then go forward. But if you see France, for example, he never get into the penalty box. But with United, he always try to get into the penalty box. We need to tell him to stop doing that. Stay outside, you got a shot in you, and just try your long range. I think going forward, we need to stop focusing on Pogba getting too much goals. Because before, we have associated him with getting like 10 plus goals. I think going forward, we have to stop, say, hey, Pogba is not going to get you that kind of like goals. Or maybe he might not even get you that kind of like saves. But he is going to be the guy to control the game. His position needs to be simplified for him to say, hey, Pogba, if you get a goal, that'll be great. But that's not your main role now.
I think he just needs to be happy, because with Pogba, he just says, I like the ability to advance forward. He likes the free reign. What we've seen enough with Pogba, we know enough. If he's happy, he's playing his best football. We need to be like, you know what? Let's not try to impose what we feel. I feel like we just seem to be like, Pogba, if you were going to keep this guy and invest so much money into him, Pogba, what works best for you? And countless amount of times he's been like, you know what? This is what works best for me. And United has got to try as much as possible to fit that midfield or whatever it is, that team around him and what suits his best to play. Because we know that with front, look, we just witnessed the Euros, NK. Like, Pogba was the guy until when, you know, France got, you know what I mean? He was the guy.
But this is my thing. He was the guy, but how many goals did he score?
Yeah.
How many assists did he get? How many assists did he get? I think he got like 2 assists. But everybody talking about him being the guy. Look, the thing about midfielders too is, one thing midfielders love more is to always have the ball. When a midfielder got the ball all the time, that's what you do. That's what some strikers hate it when they're up top and they're not getting the ball. They drop deep so that they can touch the ball.
And guys like Pogba, the more he's on the ball, the bigger the influence he's going to have on the game. The more he's on that ball, look.
And that's all he wants. He wants to be on the ball. And this is where we have to just do the tactic to say, okay, you tell Fred, like, when Pogba is on the ball, be wary of him losing the ball so that your energy can cover him, because he got a tendency where he loses the ball sometimes too. But then that's when we go. Yeah, that's what sometimes too. We go the good defenders too. With Varane can use the space to just get the ball back if he does lose it. Or so that's what I'm just trying to say. Pogba position just need to be simplified. I'm sure only watching the film to just say, I feel like, you know what, Pogba is the reason why we play these 2 palette position anyway, because Oli tried to kind of like go with the French kind of formation, but then he realized that we didn't have the creative players to do that. I'm sure that Pogba is the reason why we done this formation, and it didn't work out too. You know, it didn't work out too. But
I mean, it's rumored, but I mean, I've been, you know, I feel like we do need to we need to try and change the formation. 4-3-3 probably.
They play the same formation of preseason, bro. And you know what? Those little kid, Gardner ain't ready, bro. He ain't ready, bro. he play against a champ, because yesterday we played against a championship team, and you looking, I think he just wasn't good. He just
it's early days. I mean, it's championship.
No, it's not early days. I feel like only need to coach those 2 defensive guys there. Like, what is their job? Are their job to just say, or are their job to just create, or their job to just run the box? I feel like those guys that play there don't understand what their role is, because they're not being told what their role is. And that is the biggest problem, right? Because yesterday when them 2 were playing there, I saw the same mistakes and the same problem that, Fred and McTominay does, because they don't know what their role is. They were just literally running up and down. They close whenever they feel like it. They drop deep whenever they feel like it. And when they get the ball to, or when we don't have the ball to, they just don't know where to go to tackle. Like, it's just a mess. Like, the team, you don't know when the team is pressing. When they're not pressing, like, they don't know what their job is, you know, and they need to be told what their job is, personally.
So, I mean, from all these discussing, it's still clearly highlighting how important it is for us to get a DM that is, you know, if we can't coach it, then we got to get a DM that actually knows his job and his position, and you know, and get us someone.
And that's the clear rest. You bring him, and then he sits. He's like, bro, I'm here to babysit these people, bro.
No. That can't work for me. I mean, no disrespect to Declan, but like I said, the jury's still out on Declan. I mean, the one thing I was mentioning in that Euros is that I didn't see that guy doing the job by himself enough. For me, yeah, he's had a great tournament with his Calvin Phillips.
He don't do the job by himself anyways, though.
Nah. With him, look, West Ham, look, he was getting handheld with Calvin Phillips, and vice versa. Calvin Phillips is getting a handhold with Declan Rice, and we know how Leeds concede goals at Leeds anyway. So for me, I ain't seen enough from him to be like, oh yes, he's a great. We're talking about someone that could be doing it by themselves, and you're going to be the midfield. The thing about Manchester United is we're not like these other clubs. Manchester United lose the ball, so like Bruno Fernandes loses the ball so much in midfield, and Pogba, he's everywhere. His positioning is not one of those guys. Like he said, he doesn't like being held behind. So we need a DM that can obviously got good positioning, and that can do the job of winning that ball back.
But with Ndidi too, you got to be careful too, because, you know, people talk about Ndidi being great and all of that, and I'm not saying he's not good. But sometimes too, and this is what I tell you, when you got a great manager that coaches these players good, they can look, if they are 6 out of 10, good coaching
Yeah,
can
yeah, I
add
heard
another
you.
two to
I
them.
heard you mean.
And right now, because Brendan Rodgers is such a good coach, and then he coaches this because before Leicester, I don't even know where Ndidi came from. Honestly, I don't even know where Ndidi came from, and I know that he came there when Rodgers. I don't know whether he was there before Rodgers was there or not. I'm not quite sure, but I've always seen people talk about him the last 2 years. I would like to do my research to find out where he came from before that.
Let me check.
But because Rodgers is so good at coaching these guys, they make other players look. Bro, a few seasons ago, we nearly got scammed by game Madison, thinking Madison was the guy to unlock all the guys. If you go Madison right now, look at that. Now Arsenal are looking up for him.
Yeah.
You know, but he was playing so good. They even talk about Harry Barnes being all good and everything like that. Sometimes these managers make these guys look a bit more better than they are supposed to look. And you got to be careful too. You got to be careful.
I know, but
when he comes and he don't get the coaching, bro, he gonna end up like the same guys.
He came from
Fred
Genk.
can go into Leicester team and probably play better than Ndidi.
He came from Genk, right? I think the Belgium league or whatever. 162,000 apparently. It's crazy.
How long has he been there for? How long has he been at Leicester for?
Look, he joined in 2016-17, so he's been there for a minute, but maybe he wasn't starting like games, you know what I mean? In the start.
Yeah, because I don't know. I just and this is my point. For example, no one was talking about Ndidi until Rodgers came there. Do you get what my whole point is?
Yeah.
So whatever it is the coaching that is getting the best out of him more than the player itself. I'm not saying the player is not good, but sometimes the coaching and the system help them more than it was supposed to be. And I also say some teams you really have to be careful because the coaching there, it's like Tielemans, for example. He was good in Belgium. He went to Monaco and then he flopped. Came to Leicester and all of a sudden two people are talking about he might go to Liverpool or whatever he might go to. Coaching. Got to be careful with the coaching. Got to be careful with that.
I mean, we're just going to have to see. But at the end of the day, I mean, we can apply that to most players in out there. Do you know what I mean? In that play for
Declan ain't got no good coach.
Declan don't. That's the thing with me. Declan, like I said, is not a guy that I'm looking at and thinking, oh, he's great. Like, there's nothing that there's nothing that Declan does that I'm like, oh,
bro,
like
he
for
made
me,
sure England did not concede no goal from open play.
Look, Fred partnering with Calvin Phillips probably would have done the same thing. There's no way I'm gonna want my team to be splashing 100 million they've priced in, 80 million or whatever the figure is.
We all know he ain't gonna go there. He's probably gonna go for 65.
Even 65, bro. Like there's nowhere near.
But you want to go spend that money on Ndidi?
Wilfred Ndidi, because he has shown me he's sitting right next there to Tielemans, doing a job, game in, week out, doing a job next to Tielemans, doing his thing. You've got this guy in like I said, you know what I mean? Like I said, when you're at Manchester United, it's that you've got Leicester competing, knocking on the door for Champions League. Do you understand? Top 4. You got them top 2 for a lot, big top 3 for huge portions of the season. You've got West Ham, right? They ain't got that type of pressure. They're not feeling that type of, it's not, they ain't got them type of things. But you know what? It's a long, that's another discussion.
You know what? That one thing for sure is this season, I'm going to be putting a lot of attention on both Ndidi and Declan Rice.
You do that and give me your analysis.
Coaching or no coaching, we're going to see. We're going to see.
Look, this is the OT99 Banter Room where opinions are shared and smoke gets said. Look, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, like I mentioned, and support the thing. We're out.